Happy New Year. It's January 1st. I have no idea when you actually see this vlog, but for me, in my reality, it is January 1st. I'm gonna be honest, I love New Year's. I love the fresh start of it all. It's the most fresh start of fresh start. It's a time of year I really like. I went real hard with my TBR in November and December, and I am tired of telling myself what to do. So this week I am just gonna see what I want to read and how much I can read. We're still on winter break for another week, like a full week. So I don't know if that means I'll get a lot of reading done because I only have a couple days of work me thrown in this week, or if I'll get less reading done because the kids are home. And like my husband has had this last week off, but he goes back to work tomorrow, so now it's just me and the kids. So I have no idea what that will look like for my reading, but I am excited to kind of just go with the flow for a little bit. I'm sure I'll hate it and eventually like go back to my TBR ways, but for this week I just kind of need to go with the flow, I guess. So what am I reading right now? I did not finish all my books that I was reading in 2023. I had started Malice on Christmas Eve, and I've just been, doing the best I can. I realized pretty quick that I wasn't going to be able to finish it before today, and that's fine. That's fine for me to carry it over. But I'm like 70% of the way through, so not bad for a week worth of reading, especially since I didn't read really at all for a couple of those days. And I'm liking it fine. I'm not obsessed with it, but I'm not hating it, so I guess I'm enjoying it a middling amount. And then since that's been my only book that I've been reading, last night I needed kind of a break, and I've had Sapiens: A Graphic History, The Birth of Humankind, Volume 1 out from the library for a while. It's a big book. And so I decided to start this. I read, so Yuval Noah Harari adapted this into a version for kids, which I read in October. And then this is the one that he initially adapted from his book. And I've always wanted to read the book, but I've been a little intimidated by it because if you've never picked it up in a bookstore or the library before, it is a heavy book. I don't know what kind of paper the publisher used for his book, but it is so heavy for the size that it is, and so it's a little intimidating. But once they came out with the graphic novel, I knew I'd want to try this out, and I feel like I'm just working my way backwards with his work, because I read the version for kids, now I'm reading the graphic novel, and eventually I'll back my way all the way up to the book. But this is just history of humans and of our world, and I love his writing. I love how he teaches history. I like that I read the book for kids because I have like a good base for this one, especially when he gets really into the science, and he's good about stopping and explaining it when it gets super sciencey, but I'm still glad I have that base knowledge. It's like when I read Stamped Remix, which is the YA version of Stamped from the Beginning. It was so helpful to have that base, not simplified, but like simpler version in my head before diving into the heavier, more complex version. So anyways, also, like a very interesting book, but not a fun book, and I want something fun to like just kind of breeze through maybe before my kids start waking up. And I think I'm going to start off by rereading Check Please by Ngozi Ukazu. This is one of my favorite graphic novels. It's a duology, and it's so sweet and so funny, and I think I'm going to start with a reread, because why not? You will definitely see a lot of graphic novels this week because my friend Scout wanted to do a couple videos kind of in collaboration with each other in January, highlighting 2023 graphic novels, because as I'm sure you're aware, the Goodreads Choice Awards got rid of the graphic novel and comics category for their 2023 awards. And I'm not a Goodreads girly, but Scout wanted to highlight some 2023 graphic novels since they didn't get the love that they deserved. And I wanted to kind of see what else has made it into the Goodreads nominations before I picked out what 2023 graphic novels I wanted to read, mostly because, I love a book project. So I picked a graphic novel from every year of the Goodreads Choice Awards, and that's kind of what I have lying around the house right now, and I haven't really read any of them yet. A few of them are rereads. I tried to pick ones I hadn't read, but there were a few that I just couldn't resist getting the chance to read again. So that's kind of the plan for this week. What time is it? It's 6:15. I know. My children all stayed up late last night. I don't know if the twins made it to midnight or not. I went to bed at like 10. But I don't know if the twins made it. The youngest did not stay up till midnight. They stayed up till a little, I think like 9:30. Anyways, we'll see how late everyone sleeps in this morning. But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy my quiet and my ASMR and my coffee. And I'm going to read my adorable little hockey romance graphic novel. Ignore any disorganized chaos in the background. I did some cleaning yesterday, but I still have stuff to do today. Finished my reread of Check Please, and y'all, this is such a cute graphic novel. I love it so much. I think I gave it a 5 the first time I read it, and I don't know that it still is at a 5. I think it's more probably like a 4.5 if we want to be aggressively specific, as Kayla says, but I still loved it. It's so sweet. So it's about this boy named Biddy who is from Georgia, I believe, and he's been a figure skater and he's played a little bit of hockey, but he is freshman at Samwell College in Massachusetts, and it's his first, I think you start on his first day of orientation, and he is a baker and he vlogs, and so some of the scenes are him vlogging in his dorm room, and then you get real life scenes. He's on the hockey team because he got a sports scholarship, but he's not really a hockey player, and so it's really watching Biddy integrate into this hockey team and make friends, and there's the beginning of a romance in here, which you might have seen in the little I don't remember what those words are but the little scene I showed. Anyways, it's delightful. If you are swear word adverse, God, this is definitely not for you, because there's so much swearing in this book, but just the friendship between all the different boys is so sweet and maybe not wholesome. It's not wholesome, but it also is kind of wholesome. You know what I mean? Just delightful, wonderful way to start off the new year. Okay. That sets such a good tone for the rest of the day, I hope. I'm gonna get dressed and ready for the day, because I kind of had a sloth day yesterday with the cleaning. Even though I cleaned a little bit, there was a lot of slothing around, which was great, but in case you haven't figured it out from watching my videos, I have a tendency to be a nervous person, and my brand of nervous person does better with movement. So yeah, I'm gonna go get ready for the day, and then I'm not gonna do anything, but we'll just get ready.
Okay, sorry everyone. The dishwasher's on. I'll see if I can figure out something with the audio to make it less loud, but it is what it is. It's a vlog, okay? It's just how it is. We just got back from the playground. I'm getting started on making dinner. We're having steak heroes with french fries tonight, in case anyone cares. I read about half of In Real Life at playground, but I'm gonna DNF it in case it wasn't apparent. Gaming is a big element for the story, and I'm not a gamer. I think if you're a gamer, this would be really interesting, but because I'm not a gamer, I'm pretty ambivalent about it. And we are not starting off 2024 by forcing ourselves to finish books that we're ambivalent about. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So I'm not gonna finish it. It's fine. And I'm going to just keep listening to the audiobook from Alice while I make dinner. Not far. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like I'm so close and yet so far from the end. That's my little update, and yeah, okay, bye. Hey, hi, hello, good morning, friends. Okay, the squirrel brain turned on big last night, and now I'm reading 4 things. I was reading 5 things, but I finished something. So progress. I've made progress. I listened to it a bunch while I was making dinner last night, like you saw, and then I kept reading like once I was in bed. I don't know if I'll finish it today. I would definitely finish it by tomorrow. And I only don't know if I will finish it today because I'm reading a lot of things that I'm really interested in. Still making progress on Sapiens. I'm really enjoying this one. I was actually just reading it just now before I updated. So I'm in the middle of the 3rd section, and there's 4 overall. I think I already said this, but I just think the way this author talks about human history is so interesting. And I love the words he uses to describe things. It makes me want to pick up the original book that this is an adaptation of so much, and putting it on my 2024 TBR. I want to read it this year because I find his writing so engaging. So still loving that. Okay, what I impulsively started yesterday, I don't remember the exact title. Let me look it up. I started The Education of Pip by Sarah Wallace. This is in the Mend and Meddle series. This is the same series that Letters to Half Moon Street is a part of. And I also read One Good Turn in December, which is book 2, and then The Education of Pip is book 3. And I am liking The Education of Pip more than I liked One Good Turn so far, but not as much as I loved Letters to Half Moon Street. There is just something about the epistolary nature of Half Moon Street that spoke to my soul. And the rest of the series is not epistolary. It's still lovely, but it just isn't it doesn't spark the same brain chemistry that first book sparked, but it's still really lovely. I'm about 10% in, and for where this book starts off is a little bit of a spoiler for book 2, but Pip, our main character, is an orphan and was raised as a thief and had been kind of groomed by this person who was supposed to take care of him and forced into sex work, and it lands him in prison at the end of book 2. And he's very much a side character in book 2. And so book 3, he is gotten out of prison by another side character from the first 2 books. And it's just like these characters are so lovely. And the character that was making me really nervous in book 2 is not really in book 3. He's mentioned, but he's not a part of it. So I think I'm able to relax a little bit, because part of my lack of enjoyment was book 2 was that I was just so worried about Pip the whole time. Even though he wasn't a main character, I was just so concerned about him. So I'm enjoying this one a lot more because I feel like I know he's going to get taken care of. So it's a much more enjoyable experience. And then I also started Jurassic Park because I'm a member for Kayla's channel, and
Besties Book Club pick. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. I'm new to the channel membership, so I'm still not sure what all the correct verbiage is. But she's reading. We are reading Jurassic Park this month, and the live show is on the 13th, and I'd kind of forgotten about it. I don't think I've reread this since I was in high school. I went through a big Michael Crichton phase in high school, or maybe middle school. Was I in 8th grade? God, who knows? Anyways, either way, it's been a long ass time since I've read any Michael Crichton. And then this is my husband's Folio Society copy that I bought him for his birthday several years ago. And so it's been long enough since I read it that the movie has totally replaced whatever the structure of the book is. So it's basically like I'm reading it for the first time. And I picked it up last night only to read a chapter of it and read 44 pages. And then I only put it down. Well, one, because I was worried it would make it hard to fall asleep. And two, because I impulsively started Good Talk by Mira Jacob, which is a graphic memoir. And I started it because it was by my bed, and my middle kid came over, and they just assume that every graphic novel is meant for them. I don't think they're wrong, but you know. And I was saying, well, I haven't read it yet. I know it's memoir. I think you can read it, but I don't know if it'll be interesting for you. And then they kind of put it down and walked away. And then I realized I didn't even really know what I was talking about. So then I picked it up to kind of like read the first few pages and then to see if it was something that they would be interested in. And lo and behold, I finished it, because once I picked it up, I could not put it down. It was so engaging. And this is told in a series of conversations. I love the art style. It's like real pictures with Mira Jacob's drawings over the top. And I'll get my face out of the way. And it's like a series of conversations that she's had with her son, and then also flashbacks to talk about her childhood and early adulthood and just what it's like to grow up as a person of color in the United States. Her parents immigrated from India when they were first married, and it's about race and growing up in the United States and raising a child in the United States who is biracial, and what it's like to live in New York post 9/11 when you have brown skin. And also it takes place during 2015 and 2016. So just, you know, it was so engaging. I loved her storytelling style in this book. I loved the art. I loved the way she mixed, at the time, current conversations with her son with her experiences growing up. And I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. Phenomenal. It's an older book. I am behind the times. This came out in 2018. So yes, older book, but if for some reason you are like me and you're also behind the times and you haven't read this yet and you like graphic memoir, I would highly recommend picking it up. It was so good. And this is why I love random bookish projects for myself, because I would not have picked it up if I wasn't, let's see what graphic novels have been on the Goodreads Choice Awards in the past. So love it. Anyways, so that one's done, so that doesn't go on the still reading stack. So I think the goal for today, reading wise, we do have a busier day today, is to probably at least finish the chapter that I'm on in Sapiens. I don't necessarily want to finish it today because I don't really want to rush it. And then to make some more progress on Malice, if not finish Malice. But we'll see how it goes. Like I said, we've got some fun things going on today. It's my first day. It's the first day of my husband being back at work since holiday started, and so I've planned some fun things for the kids and I to do, just to make it not a super boring week. Okay, that is your update for now, friends, and I'll come back later when I have another one.
It's just after 4 o'clock. What day is it even? Tuesday? It's Tuesday. Ignore the dishes behind me. I need to do dishes and I need to start making dinner. But we went to the bookstore today. We went to Barnes & Noble, and the nearest Barnes & Noble to us is 45 minutes away, give or take. So we don't go very often, but my youngest had gotten a gift card for Christmas, and I filmed this whole come book shopping with us video thinking that I would be getting the newest We Were Children book while we were there, except it didn't come out today. And I just had my highly anticipated books of 2024 video go up, and I specifically talked about the We Were Children book there, and the publishing date got changed from when I was looking up books. So how embarrassing. But I did get I Want to Be a Wall Volume 2 because they did have it there, and this is a series that I am currently reading. And then when we came home, I was so full. Okay, so we went to the bookstore. The kids are gaming. And then we went out to lunch with my mom because she met us there. And I was so full from lunch when we got home that I literally couldn't do anything. So I laid down on the bed and I read Volume 2. And I had heard that Volume 2 was even better than Volume 1. And I can confirm, I think it is better. We're rewinding for this one, and we're going back to when Yuriko and Gakuruda first met, and their interactions when they first met and what led them to decide to get married. Because if you haven't heard me talk about this series before, Yuriko is asexual and Gakuruda is a gay man, and so they're very much in a marriage of convenience. And I thought this one was so lovely because like we get the very, very beginning of them meeting and then deciding to do this for each other and for themselves. And then we get these really lovely moments of watching them get closer and becoming better friends and really wanting to support each other and be there for each other. And I just really loved it. It's so sweet. I think when I read Volume 1, I had like a couple quibbles with the way the author talked about asexuality, and that went away for me in this book. I thought it was just absolutely fantastic. I'm so excited to continue with the series whenever that is. This one came out, well, the English translation for this came out this year, so who knows when Volume 3 is coming out, but I liked it so much. So far we're 3 books in, 2 days into this week, 3 books done. Do you think I can finish a book every day until Friday? Would be fun. Okay, but with that, I have to make dinner, or I don't have to. I need to start making dinner, and I think that's it. I'll probably listen to more of Malice while I'm making dinner though, because that worked out well for me last night. All right, I am waiting for my December wrap-up video to upload to the cloud so I can get it onto YouTube. But while I am waiting, I finished Malice this morning, so we're gonna finally talk about it. All right, this is epic Euro-inspired fantasy. I think Norwegian-inspired fantasy, but I might be mixing that up with John Gwynn's other series. I'm not quite sure. Some of the names felt very like Norse god-like, so that's what I'm basing that on. Anyways, it's a chunker, and there were things that I liked about it, and there were things that I did not like about it. Let's start with what I liked about it. I liked the writing. I think I really liked John Gwynn's writing. I liked that the chapters weren't super long. There were a couple that were a little bit lengthy, but there was a nice range of like there'd be a long chapter and then there'd be like a bunch of short chapters in a row and then there'd be a long chapter. So even though this is a really chunky book, it never felt like a slog, which I really appreciate because I think that could have happened incredibly easily. And I really liked the character of Corbin. We're following 4 main characters, and then there are some like side characters that have a POV every once in a while. But of our 4 main characters, here's what didn't work. Of the 4
main characters, I only liked one of them. And I was only invested in one of them, which made it rough. Granted, that's the character that we're probably with the most overall, but there were still 3 POVs where I just didn't care. And there was one where I definitely checked out a little bit. But this is definitely like an epic kingdom's tale. We're following these mostly men at in various kingdoms. You're basically building towards an epic war throughout this book, which I don't think is a spoiler. I think it's pretty clear that's the trajectory like you are on the whole time you're reading this book. But my favorite character is Corbin, and Corbin is, I think, 14 or 15 when the book opens, and he was just a really fun character to follow. He's got a really close family unit, and he's starting to train as a warrior, or, you know, beginning that training to become a warrior for his kingdom. And he goes through a lot of trials, and I really like how Gwen wrote Corbin evolving into the man that he is going to be. And I found him really easy to care about and really easy to root for. I will say I was real unsure of this book until the character of Brenna was introduced. And Brenna is the local, like the healer for this small kingdom. But the kids all think she's a witch, and she has a talking pet crow. And it gave me like the witch from Brave. That's exactly who I pictured the whole time. And Brenna's funny. And just the insertion of that little bit of humor really, I was in danger of deciding to DNF. Not because I didn't think it was bad, but just because I was not interested. And everything was really serious and really like, you know, men with swords, and I just was getting bored. And introducing Brenna and having that element of humor injected, not that she's a main character, but it was what I needed in that moment to help invest me in what was happening. Obviously, things I didn't like is I did not connect to as many of the characters as I felt like I should have been connected to, and there are some really high stakes things happening. And while I was never not enjoying my time reading it, it was easy for me to put down. There was never an end of a chapter where it was like, oh, I need to find out what happens next. I couldn't possibly put it down, even in the really high stakes moments. And I think part of that is because we have so many points of view, and Gwen changes points of view pretty much every chapter. And so something really high stakes may happen with a character, but then we move to another one. Every time we switched, I lost that forward momentum. And I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if we had just stayed with a character for 3 or 4 chapters in a row before switching. I think that would have really helped me like lock on to these people more, instead of just being like, meh, it's fine. Meh. And then the other thing I don't like is that there was no climax, and then minor, and then resolution, and then the ending. Like, I've read books that end on a cliffhanger where you still have a little bit of a resolution to what has happened, but this book just ends. It's like, how long is this book? It's over 600 pages, and it just ends. There's zero resolution. You just stopped in the middle. I'm like, okay. So that's a thing that authors do, and I just don't like it. I was like, you have all these pages to tell this story, and you can't resolve anything. You just end it right in the middle. That may be a really silly thing to not be a fan of, but I just don't like it. I don't like it. I want there to be a little bit of a thing so that I know that the author knows how to do an ending, because this is a chunky series. And the thing about chunky series is that I have to trust that the author is going to know how to resolve it to make it worth it. And if they don't do anything to resolve book 1, how do I know that they're going to be able to end the whole series? So I don't know. I haven't rated it yet because I just don't know. I just don't know what the rating would be. I don't know, because like, what do you rate a book if you enjoy it and you have a fine time? But I don't know. But you could also have like put it down and walked away and not been upset about not finishing it. So I don't know. I don't know where that stands rating wise. Will I keep going with the series? Also, I don't know. They're so chunky. I don't know if I'm invested enough to continuing. So I'm not DNFing it. I'm not mad that I read it, but I feel like for how thick this book is, I feel like I should have cared more than I did. And I was talking to my husband about it the other night, and I was saying that I felt like, because we read very similar fantasy books growing up, and we still read pretty similarly now. Our Venn diagram overlap for books we like is pretty significant. And I was saying that being a fantasy reader from such a young age and reading so many Eurocentric fantasy books written by men, like from a very young age all the way up to, now, when I read books published more recently that are like that, I think for some people it feels really nostalgic and they get a lot of joy out of it. But for me, a lot of the time it just feels boring. I just don't know. I have to think about it. I'll just have to see. I think if I pick up Valor, it will very much be kind of a mood read situation. I don't know if it will be something I intentionally put on a TBR. It might just be something that I wait until I find myself thinking, oh, I want to find out what happened to Corbin, and go pick up Valor. I'm very happy that I did finally read this because, hi, what do you want? Because I've had a lot of FOMO about this book for a really long time. Yeah, I think I said this already. I'm not mad that I read it. I'm not mad that I spent time with it. I just feel like I should have loved it more. So anyways, that's your very long update on Malice. And now I'm going to go work out and finish Sapiens today. That is what I'm going to do today, is I'm going to finish Sapiens, and then I would like to devote a good chunk of time to Jurassic Park. Hello friends. It feels like it's been an eternity, but what time is it? It's 6 o'clock. I did just make the best potato soup of my life. It was so good. I will link the recipe down below if I remember to, but I just found it on Pinterest. It was delicious. 10 out of 10 would recommend. We went to the library today. Also, I finished Sapiens, which I think I'm going to give 4 stars, just because he did a thing with the last section where it was like a courtroom situation, and that didn't like that take on, or that teaching anyways, that last section just kind of fell apart for me, which is unfortunate, but overall really liked it. We did also then go to the library, and I had a book on hold. I had The Only Black Girls in Town by Brandy Colbert, which I think is middle grade. And then I also got Chaos Terminal by Mur Lafferty, which is the second book in the Mid-Solar Murders series, which I read book 1 last year. It's now officially 2024, so yep. I read that last year, and then this was on the new release shelf at my library, so I snagged it. I don't know if I'll actually get to it, but I grabbed it. And then I also got Lore Olympus Volume 5, which forced me to confess to my middle kid that I have yet to read Volume 4. So I think this is my next read since I finished Sapiens. I think I'm going to read this so that they aren't mad at me anymore. All y'all who switched over to Storygraph from Goodreads this year, I'm mad at you because the site keeps crashing, or they keep taking it offline to do maintenance, and
I'm convinced it's because so many people were like, we're not going to use Goodreads anymore. Which, like, also I love that. Like, please come over to Storygraph. It's a fun, fresh, good time. But also, I haven't been able to access it for like 24 hours now, and I'm frustrated because I can't like log the books I've read. And also, one of the book clubs I'm trying to participate in this year, I can only see the books on Storygraph, and I think I remember what the book for January is, but I'm not positive, and just, it's fine. It's not an emergency. It's fine. I worked for a little bit today. We got new mats, which was very exciting, and so all the instructors, we went in and we pulled up the old mats and put down the new ones, and it's just... The space just looks so nice right now. And I'm gonna go in for a couple hours tomorrow too to help my boss with just some like nitpicky stuff that just didn't get done. But you all are not here for that update. You're here for the book update. And I will tell you, I am finally caught up with Lore Olympus. I started volume 4 last night, which I've owned for a while, but I just hadn't gotten to. And then I read volume 5. I don't know where it is. My twins read Lore Olympus too, so they've taken volume 5. And then I read volume 5 this morning, and I think the story is so sweet. I really like it. I've always been a big like Persephone and Hades fan. Like when I was a wee bairn, that was my favorite Greek myth. Like when I was firmly in my mythology girl phase, I loved Persephone and Hades. I don't know why. I just did. Anyway, so Lore Olympus really scratches a particular like itch in my brain. I think I liked volume 4 more. I really liked the relationship stuff that happened in this book. And then I did like volume 5 too, but I think I liked volume 4 more. This might be my favorite volume so far. I don't know. I've never reread the series either, so I could go back and reread volumes 1 through 3 and then see, but if I wanted to be like super official about it, but I don't. I'm fine with just my unconfirmed. I think volume 4 is my favorite. Wow, I'm rambling a lot right now. Anyways, so I've done that. I am almost done with The Education of Pip by Sarah Wallace. This is book 3 in the Mend and Metal series, which is a, hey Buzz, which is a queer historical fantasy series that's set in like Victorian England, and I would have said they are standalones, but I think in order to really appreciate Pip's story, you have to read One Good Turn, which is book 2, and Letters to Half. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, you just need to read them in order. Never mind, they're not standalones. You got to read them in order. I've really enjoyed this 3rd book. It's very sweet. I wouldn't say it's as cozy as the 1st book was. I'm at the point where Pip is going to confront somebody who had emotionally harmed him. And so I put it down. I'm not ready to read that scene. It'll be fine. I know it will be fine because Sarah Wallace is not out to hurt me. She wants me to have a good time. She wants it to be a cozy, sweet time. So I know it'll be fine, but my anticipation just got the better of me, and so now I'm just waiting. I think that's the update. I will definitely not finish Jurassic Park. I'm going to end this video tomorrow, and I will not finish Jurassic Park by then, but I am about 100 pages, so I am making progress. Right now, I gotta start making dinner because the husband and the kids will be home soon, so I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hi friends, I'm about to go into work. I haven't had to do this for a while, but I did finish The Education of Pip last night by Sarah Wallace, and I ended up giving it, I think, a 4. I think I gave it a 4. Maybe I gave it a 3.75. I liked it. I liked how she wrote about depression and guilt for when something bad happens to you, and how your brain, like that depression, can play tricks on your brain, and you can end up telling yourself a story that's not entirely accurate for the experience you just went through. But it was definitely a little bit harder of a story than I was anticipating, and so that definitely threw off my enjoyment a little bit, sad to say. I still am really loving this series overall though, even though, which is weird to say, when the 2 books in the middle have been very like meh
for me. I know who the main character is in the 4th book, so I'm really looking forward to that one because I think that one will hopefully have a little bit more of the fun along with the sweetness that Letters to Half Moon Street had. I feel like these two in the middle have had a lot of sweetness without the fun, just because they've been handling heavier content. Yeah, that's what I think. But it is Friday, and I did say I was going to end this vlog today, but I will do that outro when I'm back at home and we can go over all the books that I read this week for a little summary situation. All right, friends, it is time to wrap up this video. We're gonna do a really quick reading recap, and then that will be it for this one. So I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books in 5 days. Wow, this is not going to continue for the rest of January. I don't think this is a sustainable speed, but it was a good reading week, so I like that. I started off with my reread of Check Please by Ngozi Ikazu, and this was great. Love it. Again, if you have not read this duology, I highly recommend it if you want a cute, sweet, swoony time. And then I read Good Talk by Mira Jacob. This is a memoir. Again, highly recommend. I really enjoyed it. I loved the art style. And then I also read volume 2 of I Want to Be a Wall by Honami Shirano. Again, really enjoyed it. It was a good time. And then I also finally finished Malice by John Gwen that I did not read, but again, I did not read all of this week. I read most of this last week. It just had a little bit farther to go. I don't remember where I landed on my rating for this one. I think I did a 3.75 or a 4, something in that range. And then I read volumes 4 and 5 of Lore Olympus, so I am officially all caught up. I enjoyed both of these a lot more than I enjoyed volume 3. I remember being kind of disappointed with volume 3, but I really, really liked the relationship development in volume 4, and I like where the plot went in volume 5, so I'm excited for volume 6, which comes out later this year, I believe. And then I read Sapiens, A Graphic History by Yuval Noah Harari, and really liked this until the last section, and then it lost me a little bit, but I still am very much want to read the full book that this is an adaptation of. And then I finished The Education of Pip by Sarah Wallace, which you just heard an update about, so I don't need to recap it for you. So yeah, not too shabby for the first week of 2024. I almost said 2023, but it's fine. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. And if you would like to leave a comment, but you don't know what to say, let's do hockey. Let's do a hockey emoji, and I will talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!